An iconic sitcom dad, the original Colonel Mustard, a beloved Seinfeld character, and Brenda, sweet, complicated Brenda.
So you're Brandon's sister, huh?
Yeah, I'm Brandon's sister.
These are just a few of the heartbreaking deaths for Generation X. If you grew up in the 80s and early 90s, you lost a lot in 2024.
I guess there's only pain when you don't break the board. Unbelievable pain.
That is Elf, from the late 80s sitcom Elf. And that little boy is Brian Tanner, played by Benji Gregory for nearly 100 episodes. Roles were few and far between after the show ended. In fact, Benji actually enlisted in the Navy after graduating school and married a few years later. On June 13, 2024, he was found dead in his car outside a bank parking lot in Peoria, Arizona. His sister would say he suffered from sleep disorder and likely fell asleep and died of heat stroke. Doogie Howser, MD, aired from 1989 to 1993 and followed Neil Patrick Harris as Dr. Doogie Howser, a child prodigy who breezed through high school in 9 weeks and became a doctor as a teenager. Key to the show was his father, David Howser, played by James B. Sicking, who was also a big part of the 80s drama Hill Street Blues, as Howard Hunter died from complications of dementia on July 13, 2024. He was 90.
One thing, if you ever say another word about me or make another indecent proposal, I'm gonna get that gun of mine, and I'm gonna change you from a rooster to a hen with one shot.
That man with a stunned look on his face is Dabney Coleman, and he was a Hollywood legend that most recently played John Dutton's father during season 2 of Yellowstone.
When you get my age, the only thing you miss is being young.
Dabney was in dozens of films and TV shows and movies, and he won Golden Globes, Emmys, and more. He died of heart failure at age 92 in May. Here's how Kevin Costner of Yellowstone remembered him. Quote, "One of the most heart-wrenching scenes I've been a part of. What an honor to have gotten to work with Dabney Coleman. May he rest in peace."
Hi, I'm Blossom. Why do they call you Meat?
Porky's was an early 80s sex comedy that would be reviewed out of theaters today, but 40 years ago women just sort of huffed and rolled their eyes at characters like Anthony Meat Tuparello. Actor Tony Ganios did a lot of things after the trilogy. For example, Bruce Willis stabbed him in the eye with an icicle in Die Hard 2 in 1990. Meat died in February after a long surgery for a spinal infection. He was only 64 and it all came suddenly. His fiancée said, quote, "Love is an understatement. You are everything to me, my heart, my soul, and my best friend."
There's still some confusion as to whether or not there's anybody else in this house. I told you there isn't. There isn't any confusion or there isn't anybody else. Either. Or both. Just give me a clear answer. Certainly.
Martin Mull was in dozens of films, but 80s flicks like Ski Patrol, Mr. Mom, and Clue stand out. Later he'd star in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Dads, and more. Fun fact, his first break was a country song. Yeah, he released it in 1970. Here is A Girl Named Johnny Cash.
So at 22, she left her home to Nashville. She did go to try to land her a little job and earn herself some dough.
Sadly, Mull had pancreatic cancer and died on June 27th, 2024.
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man. You need an interpreter. It's time to go to school.
You will lose.
That was Apollo Creed, an integral character to 3 Rocky movies in the mid-80s. He fought Rocky, but then they became friendly. Anyone else kind of getting ticked off thinking about how he dies? The actor was Carl Weathers, and he was a film staple for 2 decades. A role as Chubbs Peterson in Happy Gilmore was also pretty amazing.
They wouldn't let me play on the Pro Tour anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because you're black?
Hell no. Damn alligator bit my hand off.
Oh my God!
His last roles would be in The Mandalorian as Grief, but gosh, it's impossible to boil him down to just 1 or 2 things. Sadly, Carl died in his LA home on February 2nd at age 76.
Jerry, Joe Davola. I have a hair on my tongue.
Crazy Joe Davola was one of the all-time great Seinfeld characters. He sort of haunted Jerry and Kramer and George and Elaine. Actually, he kind of dated Elaine for a little while. Peter Crombie was the actor's name, and most of his career took place between 1990 and 2000. He was 71 when he died of an unspecified illness in January 2024. If you came of age in the 80s, you remember Richard Simmons for workout videos and Sweatin' to the Oldies. If you were a 90s child, you may recall his many appearances on the David Letterman show.
Why do you think I aggravate you?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not annoying at all. Look, I'm happy, I'm perky.
Yeah.
I'm here to see you and I love you.
Yeah. Now listen,
We may disagree on his personality, but there's no denying how Simmons helped millions lose weight over a 50-year career. He was kind of a brilliant marketer and an original. Sadly, he died one day after his 76th birthday on July 13th, 2024. He'd fallen in his bathroom the night before and refused to get medical attention. The next morning, his housekeeper found him dead. Two more, including one of the most popular women on television. Beverly Hills 90210 was an early 90s show that 80s kids loved. My sister watched it every day. Yeah, that's it. Shannon Doherty played Brenda Walsh through season 4 when she was fired because nobody on the cast or crew could stand her. She'd go on to star in Charmed and remained active even as she battled cancer. Sadly, she died of cancer on July 13th, 2024 at age 53. That's the same day as Richard Simmons and James B. Sicking. Before I get to this last one, I want to shout out to two 80s newsmen, one of whom became pretty controversial, but in the 80s and 90s, Lou Dobbs was a reliable finance reporter. He died in July. Charles Osgood was a CBS mainstay through the 80s and 90s, one of the few who died with little controversy. But the last heartbreaking death to digest is this guy, Taylor Willie. If you're an 80s kid, you probably loved Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
It's like The Sopranos. It's over. Find a new show.
And maybe you even liked Hawaii Five-0. Fun fact about Taylor, he was a champion sumo wrestler in the 80s who didn't get famous on TV until later. He was just 56 when he died of natural causes in June 2024. I've dropped another link to a video I think you'll enjoy right here, and YouTube selected one they think you'll like here. I'm Billy Deuce for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.